Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Laura, for those of you that do not know, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about the books that I read in not only April, but March and February as well. At the beginning of the year, I was so adamant about making monthly wrap-up videos, but as February and March happened, I just wasn't reading enough to make a full wrap-up, so I decided let's just save it a little further, and now we're here and it's May and I've only made one wrap-up video so far this year, but that's totally fine. Today I'm going to walk you guys through the books that I've been reading since that last wrap-up video. There honestly isn't too much. I really need to get back in the swing of things with my reading, but it's totally cool. I did have some pretty good books that I've read and some questionable ones, so we're definitely going to talk about all of those in today's video. However, before we get into the books that I've been reading, I want to share with you guys what my current read is. This book was sent to me by Books Forward as a part of their campaign to promote this book that's coming out in September. This isn't sponsored, by the way. I'm not being paid to say any of this or whatever. I just really wanted to be a part of this project because I feel really passionately about this book. It's called Paper Doll Lena by Robin Lucas. It looks like this. This is an ARC copy. The book will be available in September, but Books Forward is helping to promote this book. It is an own voices story about a domestic violence survivor. When they reached out to me about promoting this book, I just felt really passionately about the subject matter and I couldn't say no. So they sent me this really lovely box with so many wonderful things in it. It was just really special, along with this ARC. So I'm planning on reading this next, but I definitely suggest that you guys go add this to your Goodreads TBR, check out the author. But I'm very excited for its release in September. I just wanted to share it with you guys today. But yeah, not sponsored, just really excited about the book and happy to share it with all of you. So that's gonna be my next read. I actually have so many books that I'm very excited to read in May, so hopefully my May wrap-up is like amazing. I don't know what it is, but I've just been seeing so many books everywhere that I'm just like getting super amped for, so maybe that'll be a whole different video. But for now, let's just get into the books that I've been reading since February. First book on my list is called The Architect. This is by Nikki Sloan and it is the third book in the Nashville Neighbors series. This is a series that I just completely randomly stumbled upon a few years ago. The first book is called The Doctor, the second one is called The Pool Boy, this one's The Architect, and like the series title suggests, it follows like a small town of people and different relationships that kind of intertwine within this town. And this book is about a girl who ends up meeting her neighbor unexpectedly and they end up having a cat together. Really randomly, they find a cat and they decide to keep it as a shared pet. So she goes to his house to, watch the cat, and he has a very busy job, so she doesn't see him too much, but there starts to be a little something in the air between the two of these and they start casually hooking up. Little does she know though, he has this whole alternative lifestyle that she knows nothing about. Didn't expect it from him, but she gets kind of pulled into it. This book was really crazy. I wasn't expecting a lot of what happened in it. It does feature like BDSM elements and it also features like a poly relationship, which I wasn't expecting either. The first two books are pretty tame in comparison, so I was like really had nothing in mind when starting this one. I just knew that I was enjoying the series, so I would hop on the newest release. But I did end up actually liking it, surprisingly. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't think it was like the best thing I've ever read, but it was definitely a fun read for what it was. It was very quick. I think I read it in literally a sitting. The reason that it's more of a 3-star book, even though I did enjoy it, is because there was nothing truly memorable or impactful about the story or the characters. For a book to be like on the 5-star scale for me, I have to remember the characters. I have to like see growth. I have to see a true plot, a true story progression, something that really pulls me in. This was more of a like pick it up, read it, you're kind of over it after that. Like there's really nothing more to it. But for what it was, I did enjoy the book and I would recommend it if you're looking for something of that sort. The next book, I'm a little nervous because I know that this author in particular has a pretty decent fan base, so I'm curious to see what all of your thoughts are going to be on this one. But the next book is Sicko by Amo Jones. I don't know what made me pick this book up. I think I might have seen it on Goodreads or something and I just decided to read it. But I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I really was so disappointed by this book. The thing was, I started the book, I was really vibing with it, I was really loving the like progression between the characters, which I'll explain kind of what the story is in a second, but I was really enjoying the kind of banter between the two characters. and then we had a time jump. And sometimes a time jump is like fantastic. It's done so well. It makes the story like better than I even thought it would ever be. This did the opposite. I just was not vibing with the time jump. I was not vibing with the different character development that we saw going into this. This story follows a boy and a girl, and they're kind of like step siblings, I think. I really don't remember, but they're like step siblings or something. They live in the same household. It's really not that weird, but they have like this relationship where they're very like close and whatnot. And that was kind of the vibe at the beginning of the story. And then the boy character, I think, runs away or something, and then we're time jumping like a year or so later. And I was just really disappointed with the time jump. Like, the character, I know that the whole premise of this book is that it's like a dark romance and there's like crazy different things going on. And this guy is like in a motorcycle gang when you get to the time jump. I don't know, there was so much going on. I just don't think it was for me. I don't think it was necessarily a bad book, but it definitely wasn't for me. I just wasn't vibing with the plot. It got a little confusing. It got a little bit weird. I don't know. I wasn't loving it, but I know so many people probably love this book or just love Amo Jones in general. If you think there'll be an Amo Jones book that I would enjoy more than Sicko, please let me know what it is, because it wasn't even that I disliked the writing or disliked the characters at the beginning. Like, I was really loving it at the beginning. So if there's anything that you guys think I would like by Amo Jones, totally let me know in a comment down below. I was so sad that this was a disappointment for me, but I would be willing to try another book by her. The next book on my list is sadly another one that was super disappointing, and that was Thoughtless by S.E. Stevens. I kind of touched on how I felt about this book a few videos back. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I will reiterate for those of you that didn't. This book, it was fascinating. Like, I was definitely drawn in. It was a wild ride. There was like 600 pages and I read the book in literally a day and a half. So obviously I was enticed into this story. Like, it was something that I wanted to finish reading. However, the characters and the plot drove me absolutely mad. Like, I couldn't imagine continuing with this series. It's 3 books. I was thinking that maybe they would be a companion novel series and that we weren't going to be following the couple from the first book into the second one. I was wrong. You're literally reading the same couple in the second book. Therefore, I promise I will never be reading this series. Like, I know so many of you are disappointed because so many people are obsessed with this book, and like, I get it to a point, I really do, because it was super like intoxicating. Like, I couldn't stop reading it. However, there's so many major character flaws and just the plot, I couldn't keep reading. If you haven't read the book, it's about a girl and her boyfriend who move across the country for her boyfriend to have this new job, and they move in with one of his old friends and they live in his apartment with him. And this girl ends up kind of taking a liking to the guy that they're living in the house with. So obviously that causes some issues. He's like total opposite of her boyfriend. He's like a rocker, like guy in a band, super cool. But to sum it up, basically the plot, I understand that people would like it. I understand everything. There's a certain thing that occurs within the whole book that I just could not get behind, and it just made it like intolerable to read. So for that reason, I didn't really rate the book, because I was super like into it and I read it in a day. It was super fast paced, but I didn't like the material. Like, if that makes sense, I really don't know. I can't even explain like another book where I felt this way, but it was like I couldn't stop reading, but I like never want to read it again. Basically that sums it up. But I didn't give it a star rating for that reason, just because I didn't really even know where to begin with the star rating. But yeah, I really wouldn't recommend this book. It's so sad though. I know so many of you guys like it. I can't. Next book I read is called Dirty Wicked Prince by Eden O'Neill. This was like a high school dark romance, bully kind of romance, enemies to lovers type thing. And it's a part of a series. I read the first book and I think the second one comes out soon. It ended in a cliffhanger, so I was genuinely like kind of heartbroken when I finished it because I wanted to continue on, but I'm definitely going to be reading book 2. I gave this first book 4 out of 5 stars. I actually really liked it, more than I thought too. I saw this book on Kindle Unlimited, I think, and I decided to pick it up because I wanted to do a high school dark romance recommendations video, which I did. If you haven't seen it, it's on my channel. So I was trying to read more books that kind of had those similar themes, and so I stumbled across this one, decided to read it, and I actually ended up really liking it. It's about a girl and her brother who move to a new town after their dad passes away, and in this town, they go to a really ritzy school. They're kind of put into the care of this guy who is friends with their dad, who they don't know at all, but he has a lot of money. He puts them into this like fancy school. But at this school, there's these 4 boys who are kind of like the top of the top. These kids are sort of popular because of their name, like their fathers all went to the school, and it's just like the generational thing. Like they're all just super rich and they kind of control the school because of that. And so these guys are giving her a hard time and so, and there's just a bunch of stuff that kind of goes on, and she obviously ends up getting with one of the guys in this kind of circle. But there was so much that I was not expecting with this book. Tons of mystery elements that I actually ended up finding really fascinating. So I highly recommend this one if you're looking for a good enemies to lovers dark romance set in high school. I actually ended up really liking it, so I think you guys should give it a shot. So those are all of the full-length novels that I've read since February, but I've also read a few novellas, so I'm going to share those with you. The first one is called A Lesson in Blackmail by K.D. Robichaux? I literally can't say the name. I'm sorry. I literally can't say it. But this is a part of the Black Mountain Academy series. I only read this. I haven't heard of this author. I randomly stumbled upon this novella and decided to give it a go. I picked this up in like the thick of my reading slump, so it was just a super random read for me. But it was like a student teacher book. This book was also kind of like a dark romance, and it had BDSM elements if I'm remembering correctly. But I think this girl is the librarian at the high school. It's like a high school book. The guy's 18 though, and he's a senior, and it's like the end of the school year. Somehow they end up getting together. I really don't even remember. This is the one that I've read the furthest back, so like early February. However, it was definitely a quick read. I just decided to pick it up randomly and ended up liking it. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I'd be curious to look more into what this author has written, if there's anything else that would pique my interest. The writing I remember being pretty decent, so I would definitely check out more from them. I just don't really know any more from them, so if you guys have heard of them, let me know perhaps. But I don't know if I would recommend this novella in particular. I think it is a part of a larger series that I just haven't read, and I randomly picked this one up, but I'll have to do some more research into that. But it was pretty good for what it was. Next, I read Just for a Little While by Fiona Cole. This I thought was going to be a full-length story, but it actually ended up being a novella when I downloaded it. I decided to pick it up because I'm a really big fan of Fiona's Voyeur series, so I thought it could be something I liked, but it ended up falling pretty flat for me. I think I gave it like 2.5 to 3 stars out of 5. It's about a girl who goes to stay with her like step uncle or something. Like they were related for a small point in time, and then it's like ex-family type thing, and she doesn't really know him very well at all really. I think she saw him like a few times. And she goes to stay with him while she's in college and whatever, they form a relationship. I didn't like it really, to be honest. Again, I gave it like a 2.5 out of 3 stars. I feel like if you're gonna have such a taboo element, you really need to like build up to it, and I feel like a novella just isn't really the place to do that. That's why I thought it was potentially gonna be like a real book. But yeah, I just wasn't really vibing with this one. It didn't really do anything for me. And yeah, I don't know, I was expecting more because I really love Fiona Cole's other books, and I could tell this was like something new for her, something kind of different, but it just fell a little flat for me. I don't think I would recommend it, if I'm being honest. Lastly, I read Cross the Line by Becca Steele. This is a novella about 2 boys who are on a soccer team, and one of them is injured and the other boy ends up taking his place, and it kind of causes a rivalry of sorts between them. This was another book that I talked about in my dark romance enemies to lovers type video, and that's definitely what this is. There's totally an enemies to lovers element in this. However, it's very short-lived because it is a novella, so it was definitely a fun one. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Really super quick and easy read, but I still really liked the buildup of the relationship between these 2 boys, and I thought it was really cute. So I would recommend this if you're looking for something short to read and you just want to grab something random. So I really liked it. So guys, those are the books that I've been reading recently. I definitely want to hear what you guys have been reading, so leave me a comment down below telling me your best recent read. Tell me if I should read it. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm so happy to have you here on my channel. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below if you've not already. But other than that, I hope you all have a fantastic day. I will be back very shortly with my next video, and I will see you all then. Bye!